Hi class, let's take a look at example 3. Now on example 3 on part A, you're going to be adding 32, well, 0.174 plus 371.5. So the best way to add these is by using vertical form. So let me just use vertical form on the side. I'll just carry the actual sum on the side. And in this case, I'm just going to write it as 32.174 and then the 371.5. I'm just going to add the zeros as placeholders. So the most important part on addition and subtraction of actual decimals is that you actually align them based on the place value. Now, this particular one is a simple addition. Let me double check that it was copied correctly. 32.174, 371.5. Okay, so as we added 4 plus 0, it's actually 4. 7 plus 0 is actually 7. 1 plus 5 is equal to 6. Don't forget the decimal. 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. 7 plus 3 is equal to 10, and you carry 1. I'm just going to put the 1 above the 3, and your answer is going to be the first digit, an actual 4. So our actual answer, it's going to be 403. So 403.674. Okay, let's take a look at problem B. And in problem B, what we technically have is a subtraction. And this particular subtraction, notice that if you read it from left to right, you're subtracting 34.174 minus 371. So before we forget about the actual sign, the sign of this one is going to be negative. And let me carry the actual subtraction on the side. Now, as we carry the subtraction on the side, it's just easier to keep it to account the sign of the final answer. Since you're subtracting from 371, your answer is going to be negative. But as you align the vertical form, it's just easier to rewrite it as the maximum number on the top. So in this case, 371.5. And then you're going to be subtracting the 32. Wait, this is a 7. Let me just rewrite it better. 371.5. And then we're subtracting the 32.174. And just for placeholders, I'm going to put the zeros. And this way, we don't accidentally subtract values that don't actually belong. So before we start doing the subtraction, well, as you look at the first row, you cannot subtract, well, technically 4 from 0. So we're going to start borrowing. So this is going to be a 4 and this is going to be a 10. But in order to make it into the third position, we're going to have to do another borrowing. So this is now going to be a 9 and this is a 10. And then now we can start doing the subtraction. 10 minus 4 is equal to 6. 9 minus 7 is equal to 2. 4 minus 1 is equal to 3. And then as we go to the ones place, we have another problem. We cannot carry the subtraction without borrowing. So this is going to be a 6. This is a 9 now. And now we're looking at 11 minus 2 is equal to 9. 6 minus 3 is equal to 3. And 3 minus technically 0 is equal to 3. And then don't forget about the answer. Your answer is going to be negative. I'm getting negative 339.326. Let's take a look at problem, in this case C. Now notice the problem C is going to be a multiplication. So let me just rewrite it. And then to carry the multiplication, we're going to do vertical form. So this is the only disadvantage of decimals, that on almost all the operations you have to do some either vertical form or some long division as we're working with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the actual top the 37.1. So 37.1, and we're going to be multiplying by 4.7. Now take a look at the decimals. You technically have these two numbers contain two decimals, so your final answer is going to be a decimal. So as you start multiplying, 7 times 1 is equal to 7, 7 times 7 is equal to 49, and you carry 4. Let me put the 4 here, and 7 times 3 is equal to 21, plus 4 is equal to 25. Whoops, let me write it with. Okay, as we go to multiply the 4, don't forget about the place value that needs to be adjusted. And let me carry the multiplication. 4 times 1 is equal to 4. 7 times 4 is equal to 28, and you carry 2. Let me put the 2 above in blue. And we're looking at 4 times 3 is equal to 12, plus 2 is equal to 14. So our last value before the addition is going to be a 14. And then let me actually add them and not mess up the addition. So at this point we're doing an addition, which is the result of the vertical form with a multiplication. So we end up with the first value being a 7. 9 times 4 is equal to 13. You carry 1. And we're looking at 6 plus 8 is equal to 14, and we carry 1. So this is going to be a 1. We're looking at the next value being a 7, and then a 1. So we're looking at 1, 7 as the last values. Now your final answer, since the first two numbers that we're multiplying contain one decimal, you're going to actually have a final answer with a single decimal. So our final answer, we end up with 174.37. Okay, let's go to the next one, which is D. And before we do anything with D, keep in mind that this one represents 2.1 times the values of 2.1. So very similar to the previous multiplication. Let me do the work on the side. So we're looking at 2.1 times the values of 2.1. As we multiply the first value of the 1, this is going to be 1, well, technically 21. And don't forget about the place value. So the next operation, we're going to end up with 2 times 1 is equal to 2, and 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So I'm getting 1, a 4, and a 4 with 2 decimal places because the original values contain each one. So our final answer for this one, it's going to be 4.41.